Hi, I'm Christian.
And I'm Angela, and we are married
And bored. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 28
of the Married and Bored podcast.
That's right, we are so happy to have you here. It's been a long time
without you, my friends.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks since we did our last recording, so we thought we needed
a month.
Yeah, we needed to sit down and talk games with everybody. How's everybody doing?
Well, they can't talk back with us.
Okay.
I don't know if you know how podcasting works.
This is new to me. No, we're doing well. We just took a little time sometimes.
It takes a little time sometimes.
I got a lot of songs on my head tonight, so be ready, everybody. It's just going to keep on coming, and it won't stop coming.
Hit the ground running.
Yep. So, yeah, we're still playing games, guys. I hope everyone's doing well, staying safe. And we just wanted to start this episode by doing what I'm going to call the Married and Bored Marvel Minute.
Ooh, it's the first ever.
It's kind of a themed show because we're talking about an X-Men game later on. But we usually talk about what games we've been playing at this point.
It's called our What's Up segment.
Yeah, we've pretty much been playing one game in the past 4 weeks since we've last chatted. I will say that we did not play PAX Premier anymore after talking about it.
Sorry, PAX Premier.
Because that game still hurts my head. And we appreciate the feedback that we did get on that game from last episode. And if you have any more feedback, still reach out to us. We'd love to know, what are we missing? What are some tips and tricks that you have for PAX Premier? But today, at this point, we're going to talk about Marvel Champions.
Okay.
Angela, why don't you kick us off and just tell us what's been going on with Marvel Champions? It's a game that we have talked about many times on this show for good reason.
Yes. So I think our third episode and our year episode were both about Marvel Champions. Mm-hmm. And man, if I could go back in time and do those episodes again, knowing what I know now, do you have a song for that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
If I could turn back time.
There you go. So I would love to. So maybe we'll have to do another episode in the future.
Yeah, I will say that it's probably going to keep on coming up over and over again with us, just because of what we're going to talk about now is we kind of, I don't want to say like fell in love with it all over again. That sounds like a movie or a sitcom. Not a sitcom, like a rom-com movie.
Yes.
But like, we've had so much fun playing this game again.
Yes. And so we've been playing through. Now, who have we gotten? So we got Quicksilver.
Yeah, we got the
Wasp.
newest heroes. Quicksilver, Wasp, Ant-Man. Those are the newest ones that we've gotten. Mm-hmm. And I personally love Ant-Man. He's been my favorite out of everybody that we've gotten. For some reason, me and the little guy, we just clicked.
Well, he can be giant as well.
So can I.
That's not true. Well, so we have been playing it together. We did our Red Skull campaign.
That's right. We finally did a full campaign.
Yeah.
You want to hit any hot buttons on the campain on like how it went? Or?
Well, you know what, Christian? I was going to say to them, because we were having a brainstorm about maybe doing a separate bonus podcast every now and then as we walk through the Red Skull campaign and just have Marvel Champions thoughts and ideas and decks and minutia, if you will.
I don't even know what that means, but it sounds great. Sounds like an X-Men, to be honest.
Small facts, I believe. Is what they are.
Like Ant-Man. Small guy.
Yeah. So I would love to do that. This is not the first time I've run this by you, but how do you feel?
I feel good. Like the song says, I feel good. Yep. No, I think it's great. I think it's because we play it so often, and it is in this point of our like gaming life, I guess. It's really hard for us, for whatever reason, to get new games on the table to talk about. Whether it's really hard to learn new games right now, or to take the time to learn new games. It's not, we're not going to do it. But we are just playing so much Marvel Champions and having a great time that we want to share that with you.
We are.
And hopefully that's all right.
Expect more about that in the future from us, hopefully less than a month away between that and this podcast.
We're still trying to figure this out. Whatever.
But if you are not versed in Marvel Champions, I would say, between now and our next episode, get excited, maybe look up, maybe even buy the core set, and kind of explore around. We're going to be talking about maybe getting started with Marvel Champions, and then also the campaigns that you can walk through, which are like stories you can complete. And you can also just play single villains. You can play different aspects with different heroes, and it's super fun, always changing as they add new characters and as your gameplay gets better, which, if I may say so myself, we've gotten very good at this game.
I was just going to ask, because when we first bought the game, for both of us, it was very difficult to win each scenario.
Yeah.
We still had a good time.
Yeah.
But it was just really hard to win. And I think we've mentioned it before on previous, not just Marvel games or Marvel Champions, but other games where we look online and we see people saying, like, this game is so easy.
Is that how they talk?
But yeah, most people who say that sound like that. But if you've looked up anything about any board game, there's always those people that are like, this is so easy. I can't believe I beat this game in 3 turns. It's like, well, not for everybody.
We were struggling.
And for us, it was very slow go to get into this game. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that's, like, from you, who most of, like, I'm not great at this game either, but I think we've both kind of, like, learned how to play it more. Mm-hmm. Or is there anything else you want to say about that process and why it's way more fun now than it was maybe 6 months to a year ago?
Okay, well, probably a lot of things contribute to that. But the first thing that popped into my head is that it would probably benefit someone to watch someone who's good at this play it. That is not what I did. Because if you have been around this podcast for a minute, you know that that is not how I absorb games. It's just very hard for me to watch someone else play a game because I don't know why.
It's just not
fill in the because.
It's just learning, right? Like if someone shows you a guitar chord, it's like, well, that's cool. You can do it. Right. But I need to actually look at a paper or read about how to do it.
Sure. So nothing against people that watch games being played. No, I actually think that
I learned that way.
That's what Christian does. And I actually think that would be very helpful in this situation because for me, it took just continuous repetitive play without time stretching in between each play. So I needed to continue to play, and then realize, when I'm playing Ant-Man, for example, I want my helmet out pretty much right away. There's certain cards you're looking for. Mm-hmm. I'm Thor, Mjolnir's part of the setup. But I want Asgard out right away, so I have a higher hand size for the rest of the game. So I'm going to be thinking about those things as I decide to mulligan or not. Yeah. As I decide to discard certain cards or not.
Yeah, you've gotten, one thing that I've noticed is when we first started playing this game, I would have a ton of cards in front of me. I would have upgrades, supports of support. Like, I would have 5 or 6 cards in front, mm-hmm. and I will go through my deck once or twice a game. Yeah. And then I look across the table, and you've drawn the first 12 cards. And it's funny to look back on, and you wonder, why did we keep on losing?
That's why.
Well, that's because we weren't set up to fight the bad guy. Yeah. Superheroes need to train and they need to prepare for the bad guys.
Oh, so well said.
I know.
Christian.
We've been watching a lot of Marvel movies and that's what they do. They just prepare.
Yes. So that's something that's probably also contributed to the fun factor. Just to have the Marvel movies and kind of in our mind and our WandaVision and
our kids are way into this superhero thing right now, and so we indulge it. We watch the
Yeah.
movies and play the games with them. So, and I think that just helps. And so, like Angela said, the WandaVision thing, we've got Quicksilver, who's very fun to play, very different from everyone else. And then there's also Scarlet Witch, who's coming in the next week or so. So that's going to be awesome. So, Marvel Champions, Angela touched that we did the campaign all from start to finish.
Yes.
I don't think we lost a scenario once.
Correct. I'm thinking of the one I did with the kids.
That's true.
Yeah.
You lost many times, but they're 5 and 7 playing a very difficult beginning board.
They actually do remarkably well.
Yeah. Yeah, but we had a good time doing that. It's fun to see the progression in the campaign on how something you do in a scenario 2 affects scenario 4 or maybe 5. So that's a really cool thing that they do to kind of link everything together. And on top of that, you can also break it up. And if you just want to fight Taskmaster, you can just fight Taskmaster. He's tough,
Right.
And you can have a good time doing that.
Yes. I think that we've played card games in the past, so I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings, where we kind of first got started into modern board games.
And LCGs as a whole.
Yeah. And then Destiny, which we played you played.
Mm-hmm. I will always love Destiny. I think it's a great game. I just couldn't keep up with it. With the competitive side of everything, they have so many new cards, and you got to get all of them, and then you got to keep buying and keep buying. With this one, it's been pretty painless to keep up. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, what are we doing this month? Well, it's a new hero. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Or it's a new bad guy. All right, I got it.
Yeah.
I don't have to go and buy a pack of cards and then randomly hope I get the best cards.
Right. So I think, is it safe to say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Christian, but is it safe to say that this might be the best card game we have played?
Yeah, I would say so. It's stuck around the longest, and we are now having a lot of fun doing it. I think it's time, not spoiler alert, but we'll just say we haven't played Expert. We haven't increased the difficulty to the maximum because, well, I don't think we're those type of players.
Right.
And we just we hadn't got to the point where we felt it's possible. I think we're rounding that corner.
Yeah, totally. So stick with us for more podcasts in the future that intersperse throughout our normal ones that deal with just Marvel Champions.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We hope you guys enjoy it. And you stick around. So to continue the theme, Ange, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about another Marvel universe, which is in the same universe.
Yeah, that was confusing.
As Marvel Champions. Whatever. It's a different game. It's brand new. It's awesome. X-Men Mutant Insurrection.
This episode is sponsored by Showit. Are you stuck in a boring website template? Maybe you don't even know where to start. Experience the true creative freedom with the drag and drop simplicity of a Showit website. Our website, marriedandbored.com, is a Showit website, and we love how simple it is to create. Get started for free at showit.co. You won't be disappointed. All right, guys, we are back. That was a first ever joint What's Up segment. And now we are moving further into the Marvel Universe to talk about X-Men Mutant Insurrection, which is new, correct?
Yeah, we actually, I pre-ordered this, last fall or whatever. Not really knowing a lot about it, but I knew that I would want to play it because it's got the Marvel thing, which we just talked about. We're way into that here. And it's got dice. And I think I'm a sucker for dice game because I like the chance. I like knowing that, especially if you're playing against someone else, no matter what they roll, there's a possibility that they won't be able to do what they want to do. There's just something about that I enjoy.
Yeah. So, is it out to everyone yet? That was the question I was going to pose to you. You pre-ordered, so we have it.
Yeah, we got it a little early. I think the official release date is this coming Thursday. We're recording tonight on the 21st of February, so I think it's the 25th or 26th. So
okay.
You can get it soon if you didn't pre-order.
And maybe you'll decide later in the episode if it's a game for you. But first, let me tell you a little bit about what the game is. So X-Men Mutant Insurrection is a cooperative. It's dice-driven card game. It's for 1 to 6 players. The players are going to take on the role of different X-Men, like Wolverine, Rogue, Storm. There's actually 16 to choose from. And you're going to go on dangerous missions around the world, and it's going to all accumulate in this showdown against a major villain.
Yeah.
Like Magneto is one of them.
Yeah,
You might have heard that name before.
Yeah, or the Dark Phoenix saga is huge in X-Men. If you're an X-Men fan or grew up watching the cartoon like me, Dark Phoenix was like so cool. And you get to kind of relive that in this game.
Yeah, so that is what you're doing. You're working as a team. I said it's cooperative, so that just means that everyone is on the same team working to defeat the game, which is a series of missions and villains.
Yeah, and then another thing that some people might not know about this game is it is actually it is based off another game by Fantasy Flight called Elder Sign. So if you're familiar with the Arkham world from Fantasy Flight, Mansions of Madness, Arkham Horror, Elder Scrolls, not Elder Scrolls, that's totally different. But those games, they had a very similar game of this where you're rolling dice, but instead of fighting bad guy mutants, you're fighting the old gods and the cultists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a re-theme of that game. To be honest, I don't know what the differences are. I don't know how they're different. But if you're familiar with one and enjoyed it, might be a natural progression.
Yeah, this might be for you. All right, so we're going to break it down into our 5 categories that work for our minds and our lives. And we'll start with the first one, which is always ease of setup and teardown. So I'm going to go ahead and start, if that's okay with you, Christian.
Yep.
All right. So I would say this is probably right in the middle. It's nothing too crazy, but it does have quite a number of cards.
Yep. Lots of cards and very few dice for a dice game.
Yeah, there are only 16 dice. And they're, bigger than a standard die. Kind of like Destiny dice, maybe.
Yep, they're chunkier.
Mm-hmm. And, for us, that means that we're also setting up dice trays. Maybe that's not for you, but anything that involves dice like this, we're going to have our dice tray out. So that adds to setup and teardown.
Yeah, especially when playing with our kids, because when we say, hey, if we can just keep the dice in this area, that would be great. And then the dice go everywhere. On the floor, in pockets, in cups. Like, we don't know how they got there.
I will say that sometimes that happens when it's your turn.
Well, I get excited.
Yeah. Dice just fly. So there are dice, there are cards. Each player gets a card that's, what would you call it, a mega card?
Well, you get like a character board, which is like an oversized playing card.
Yeah.
And then you get like an assist card, which is a regular size card. So you got to find those.
And then there's like 5 other decks. You've got like a mutant deck. You've got a Bond deck. You've got, not James Bond, but...
like friendships.
Yeah, like relationships. And then you've got threat decks. And so and then you've got the oversized cards are story cards, or they could be a mutant deck, or it could be...
there's missions and
continent
locations.
Cards. So basically the idea is you're going to be preparing a lot of decks, but there is no player board. There is a threat tracker, which is kind of like a strip.
Yeah, it's just a strip with numbers on it.
But you're going to be basically leaving your main play area open for the dice rolls or maybe a dice tray.
Yep.
And then perhaps you'll put the showdown there, which is just mega cards put together to form a picture.
Yeah, it's like many cards that go together, and it's like a cool diagram of the final boss. Like there was a Magneto fight we did, and it had him on one shooting junk, and then there's like his Brotherhood of Mutant people on the other card fighting X-Men, and it's really neat.
Yeah, so I would say it's probably medium. Nothing that's super time consuming, but it's a bunch of decks to separate and cards to shuffle. And I guess you'll have to speak to this because it came in the mail on like an afternoon,
mm-hmm.
and Christian immediately took it into his office. And then I didn't see it for the rest of the day, which is fine. And I think you had already set up the Blackbird. So tell us, was that involved for you?
No. There was, like, the cool thing is, like, there's, like, a home base in between each round that you go to, and it's the Blackbird, their ship. And it is like a little 3-dimensional cardboard ship, which is pretty cool. It's just got 2 wings that you slot in vertically. It just adds a little fun to it. It's not necessary by any means. Like, you could just bring it back to your home base, like your personal play area, and that would have achieved the same thing. But having them on the ship it's thematic and cool.
Yeah. That was it's probably just like the same as the Everdell tree, except small.
Yeah, Everdell is pretty, impressive when you get it set up.
Yeah.
This is just it's like an inch tall.
But I meant the setup of it.
Oh,
it's just sliding slot A into slot B.
Yep, definitely.
And then also you don't need to tear it down.
No.
Like the Everdell tree, you need to tear down every time if you want to fit it back in the box. So this one, you can just keep it set up, and then that's nice for future setup.
Missions.
All right. What about number 2?
Well, I would say tear down. Let's just talk about that really quick. Tearing down it's a little bit worse than setup, I think, because as you go through these missions, I mean, we could maybe do a better job of keeping them more organized as we defeat them. But we've just been putting all the completed missions in just like one pile. And then we have to, at the end of the game, then sort out all these piles so that when we set it up the next time, it's that much easier.
Yeah.
So teardown is a little more involved, I'd say, than the setup.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think as like the last time we played, I tried to separate, because sometimes you'll defeat a mission that has, or a villain that has a different card back.
Or it came from a different deck.
Yeah, than the other ones that you've defeated. So I've been trying, like the last time we played, I tried to separate it as we defeated them.
Oh, okay.
But that is something to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's not huge. It's like every game. After you play it, you gotta put it back. Like Mansions of Madness. I remember we played that a couple weeks ago.
That's
the
true.
first time in a very long time, and I just really don't like putting that one away because of all the items you get throughout that game. And then it's like, well, you can't just put them back in a baggie. You got to put them back in alphabetical order, or you'll never find them again.
Never.
So it's not that bad. So if you're a Mansions fan and are interested in X-Men, it's not that bad.
This is not a Mansions of Madness caliber setup or teardown.
No, Angela, I think you were right, and it's right in the middle of the road. It's not easy. It's not super simple, but it's not ultra difficult. It's not Star Wars Rebellion. That's my meter. I don't know what the easy one would be. Maybe Parks is pretty easy.
Easy one is like War. Take out a pack of cards.
Okay, and then divide it in 2.
Play War. No, again, it's like you'd know easy if you did it.
Yep, exactly. And you know what would make this, like every game that has trays, that makes easiness that much more quick. This one doesn't come with that. And I don't know how they would do it with this game because there is so many cards, and they're funny sized, and there's dice, and there's a lot of like standees for your people. So it's good. It's a good medium setup teardown.
One thing that I will mention, whether it bothers you or not, you can assess. But there are, what would you say? They're about 3-inch tall cardboard characters.
Yeah, the standees.
Of all the X-Men. So there's 16 of those to choose from. And you're given 6 stands. Because the most people that can play at one time is 6.
Yeah.
So what that means for setup and teardown is that not every X-Men has a stand. So that what they can do, if I'm thinking of it correctly, is they can collapse into a bag. So the idea, I think, in creating only 6 stands was to remove the standees from the stands so that they could collapse into a bag nicely. And then the stands themselves would just be either at the bottom of the bag or in a separate bag. If you had all 16 of these characters on stands, I wouldn't say they wouldn't fit in the box. I just don't know that it would collapse and fit in a bag quite as nicely.
No, but I also think it's kind of cheap that they didn't give us just one for everybody.
So that will be for you to decide.
I think of game think of this game. Think of Dead of Winter. Dead of Winter has so many cardboard people. There's like, I don't know, 30 characters to choose from. They all have stands. There's 3,000 zombies in that game. They all have it.
Was that an exaggeration?
No.
Okay.
They all have stands. So it's like, it's doable. But it's just like, come on, just give us 10 more stands. Like, is it really that big a deal?
It does seem kind of funny. I mean, I get it's not a random number of stands. They give you 6.
No, they give you the max that you need. I think it's 7, which is a funny number because they give you a stand for the threat tracker.
Oh, that's
which is
right.
like, that could have just been like a Magneto helmet. Just give me that, and I'll put that on the threat tracker.
Yeah,
because that's more thematic than the exclamation point where the threat is. But yeah, it's just a funny thing.
So something to think about. I mean, I don't think either way you feel it should be a deal breaker. And if you love that they only gave you 6 stands for 16 X-Men, I don't think that should be the only reason you buy the game either. So that's just a funny little quirk.
Well, as gamers too, like you think about the wear and tear of pulling those cardboards in and out of stands, especially when we play with our kids. This is a game we've already played with our kids like 4 times, and you don't know what they're going to do once they touch something. It could, like I said earlier, it could end up in their pocket. It could end up in their drink. Like, who knows?
Why is this standee sticky? I don't understand.
Yeah, funny story. I'm going to say it really fast. We were playing yesterday, and I picked up a dice, and another dice was stuck to it. And I was like, what just happened? And I found gum in between not a lot of gum, but just like, if
just
you get a little
bit.
piece of gum on your finger. Our son was chewing gum, and then I looked at him, and he's like, did you put gum on this? And he just gave me like the biggest sigh, like, yeah. Like, come on. Gum.
Oh, man. So we're not going to lend you our copy of X-Men Mutant Insurrection.
No, they didn't ruin it, but it's just it's definitely a funny thing.
Oh, man.
So, yeah. Let's just wrap it up for the ease of setup and tear down.
Medium.
Again, medium. Great.
Number 2.
Let's jump into how accessible is learning to play. This is important for us. Maybe not right now because of COVID. Like, the ability to teach this game to someone else.
Yeah.
And the ability for us to learn it. I would say it was an easy game to learn.
Yes.
There's not a lot of rules. There's not much to it. It is basically, and I hesitate saying this because it makes it sound really not fun. Yahtzee.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're matching symbols on your dice with the symbols that the mission is asking you for.
Yes.
So if you're into that, great. I'm into that. I don't love Yahtzee, but I like dice games.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that we've already mentioned we played it with our kids, so that's going to tell you how accessible it is to learn how to play. I think that maybe the interest level of people outside the modern board gaming world might not be super high unless they're into Marvel things. You know, we've talked about on the podcast before how Christian will buy anything with a Marvel or a Star Wars label.
Yeah, it's just gonna happen.
So maybe there is someone out there that would just buy this game because it says X-Men on it.
Yeah, it's got a really cool cover.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I'm not judging that person. I'm just saying maybe there would be someone without a board game background that would buy it just because it says Marvel. I don't know. I think they could learn how to play it. I don't know if I don't know how much interest it would hold for them if they're not already into board games, but I think that's where the theme comes in.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a good one to get somebody in, you know? But there are rules to remember. Every character, all those 16 X-Men, they all have a special power. So you have to remember that. And you should remember that. They're good. They help you. But then the cool thing about this one is that everybody has what they call an assist card. which you can share to other people on your team. We should say this is a co-op game. It's only a co-op game. You can't fight each other. And so the cool thing, again, about the assists is if I'm playing Cyclops, I can't use my assist card. I have to give it to somebody else in order for that ability that is on the assist card to activate. And so learning how to do that and like to make sure that like if I don't do it, I'm missing out on a potential action, which in this game it is a lot of re-rolls based on the scenario, but it's one more re-roll you didn't have.
Yeah. I think that it's easy to bring to the table, especially with kids as a family experience. Probably, a little bit older kids. I actually don't know what the age on the box says, but our kids are 5 and 7, and with help, they're getting it and they're doing just fine. Especially our 7-year-old doesn't need a lot of help from us now that she's played it quite a bit, but our 5-year-old, we still kind of...
Well, yeah, I mean, he can't read, so it's not like he's not going to
be able to read the mission cards. And then sometimes because the different dice have different probabilities of rolling out different outcomes, you're going to want to take that into account if you're playing, appropriately, strategy-wise. So our daughter is kind of catching on to that. That's our 7-year-old. And our 5-year-old's not there yet, nor would we really expect him to be.
No,
so
he
we
just
help
loves
them out.
Choosing the character and also rolling the dice. And, if you can believe this from a 5-year-old, going first.
Yeah, he wants to always go first.
So yeah, I mean, in what you do each turn, learning how to do that, not difficult. I think the hardest part about this game is just knowing when to trigger certain cards. The mission cards, I messed one up totally the other day. I made it 3 times as long as it should have been. But we figured it out. It happens with new games. So just if you get this game, make sure to read the cards. They ask you to search for a certain card number. And it's very small. It's very small in the bottom right-hand corner of these mission cards. It's not the end of the world, but it's not very visible either. So you have to kind of be aware of what you're looking for.
Yeah. But it's good news if we learned how to play it after the kids went to bed one night and played a whole round. Like, we were able to play a whole game and learn a whole game in one evening. And so that means it's pretty accessible to learn how to play.
I think we lost just because the first time didn't know what was going on, all the rules and the steps of things. And as long as, everyone should be okay with that. The first time you learn how to play a game, that you're probably going to lose. That's the way I approach it. Maybe others don't, but yeah, I would say this is an easy to low medium to learn how to play. Good
assessment. Okay, well, we've already kind of mentioned the theme, the Marvel universe that this sits in.
Yeah.
So how immersive is the experience of playing X-Men Mutant Insurrection?
I would say it is, it does a fairly good job of telling a story. It's not like a narrative game where you read a bunch of text. Well, there is text on some of them, but it's no mansions, it's no journeys to Middle Earth where you're going on a journey, but like doing mutant-y things and X-Men-y things to try to get to the final cards. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, there's a plot, and I would say there's a story. It's not what you described in Mansions or Lord of the Rings, Journeys to Middle Earth, but there is a story, and it unfolds, and there's actually text that describes sometimes like what Professor Xavier is saying or what he hears Magneto saying.
Yeah, or thinking, or yeah.
And I like that you can be at the academy to heal yourself in different ways. So
yeah, that's cool.
So when the team, so for us it's either 2, Christian and I playing, or it's a team of 4 with our kids. So when our team is done with you regroup at the end of the round, we can decide to deploy to the school instead of going out on missions because maybe we need to heal. And while we heal, maybe we'll train in something.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now that you mentioned that, I hadn't thought of that. It's very thematic that you would just go back to the school to learn that stuff. I didn't think when I first got this game like how damage would work and how you would heal. I assumed like Wolverine, he would heal on his own because that's what his mutant powers is. But spoiler alert, he doesn't in this game, which I feel like is missed. But he can go back to the school to get his hit points back.
Right.
For his mutant powers to actually work.
Yeah. And I like thematically, I like that if you do get knocked out, which hasn't happened to us in any of the games we've played, maybe we're healing too much, but I don't even think we do that too much.
No, we don't heal, but we also have only played it on easy and medium and normal.
Yeah.
So we haven't really done anything too crazy, and we haven't done the hardest difficulty of the missions. The plots is what they're called in this game. So we've been taking it pretty easy, just to learn it and get good at it. I have a feeling that there's going to be some knockouts coming for sure.
Right.
But what happens when you get knocked out?
So when you get knocked out, I like that. Yes, the character you were playing. So Wolverine goes on a mission. Wolverine gets killed. His damage exceeds what his hit points are. So then when he goes back at the end of the round on the Blackbird, I mean, this is how I view it. The rule book doesn't say this part, but in my head, he's dropped off at the school to like get medical attention. And then what the rule book says is you deploy as someone else.
So you just get another hero from the ones that are remaining.
Yeah, of the ones that you haven't chosen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And there obviously is a penalty to dying in this game.
Yes, there is a penalty.
It's not free.
No.
But there are other cool things. One thing in X-Men that is very key and important is the relationships between X-Men. And that's where these bond cards come in. You know, like Angela would always ask, she'd get a bond card and it would like link her and I. And we happened to be playing at the time like Jean Grey / Phoenix and Cyclops. And she was like, oh, this is appropriate that we're bonded, isn't it? And I was like, yes, you have been paying attention. So there's cool stuff like that where you get a bonus from these bond cards if you go on the same mission as the other person with this card.
Yep. And then bonds can break.
Yeah, on the flip side.
Mm-hmm. So love can turn into regret.
Yep, it does.
And then
in life and this game. And so the opposite would happen. So you'd have a negative effect that would kick in. Another great thing, you want to talk about the mutants?
Yeah, so mutants can be found on missions. So as a reward, basically, for succeeding at a mission, you can find a mutant, which is just, thematically what it means is you found someone with mutant powers and you're bringing them back to the school. And then potentially you or someone else on your cooperative team of X-Men are going to take them with you on the next mission to help you out. And they give bonus powers or maybe re-rolls, things like that.
Yeah, it's really neat. And I think on another level too, those mutants that you find you're not going to go out and you're not going to find like Iceman. He's a main hero in this game. And the ones that you do find are those like new generation X-Men that you don't know a lot about, that, or at least that I'm familiar with or not familiar with in a lot of cases. They're not like A-list X-Men. They're like, I think I've heard of him before, and most of them are like, no idea. I don't know who that is, but you can tell that they've been introduced in the comics and they're like learning to be these big guys. And they're probably attending the school, which is why you bring them to the school. And
yeah,
it's neat.
I like thematically that we've mentioned these assist cards, so that kind of forces you on a theme level to work together and team up. There's a dice result called teamwork as well, so I'm trying not to confuse the two. But so that you have to work as a team and think, hey, if we can work as a team, you can get 2 powers on your turn, potentially more if you have a mutant with you or you have a bond with someone that you're on a mission with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that idea that we talked about in the What's Up with Marvel Champions of stacking, so that by the showdown, you have some power. Not just your character card's power, but maybe now you've acquired someone's assist abilities power, and then also you have a mutant on your side, and also you're bonded with someone that's on the same mission as you. So
and all of those are like dice mitigation. You can re-roll, you can turn to a side, you can cancel a negative effect. Like, it's all going to help you get the job done.
Yes.
I do like one thing that I'll link it back to Marvel Champions. One of my new favorite cards in Marvel Champions is Multiple Man, Jamie Madrox. And if you've seen X-Men, I think it's 3, the old one, he's in that. And he can just duplicate himself. And in Marvel Champions, once you play one Madrox or Multiple Man, you can play another one. And then once you play another one, you can play another one. And so it fills your allies with the same card, which is really cool. And this game has that as well. So as long as you can find multiple mans, you can keep them. You can keep them and exceed your limit. And like everyone like gives you a reroll for free, which is really cool.
And the villains, I mean, just all adding to the theme of this already created universe. When there's something that's so all built up already outside of the board game, like this is, you know, comic books, and then it's movies, and it's a whole franchise. So it's fun to feel like you're playing these characters, and I think it does a pretty good job, especially considering what kind of game it is, which is card and dice.
Yeah, there's not much to the actual game, but I think the characters in the world helps you. It pulls you in really well. Like, I don't see like how, if this were Elder Sign, would I be like, oh, this is spooky because Charles rolled this dice and killed a ghost? I don't know if I would be as excited.
No.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's where mansions and the app and the spooky music can capitalize on that.
Sure.
But this, I think, draws you into that world because of the theme.
Yeah.
That's already there. And of course, the characters all have powers that relate to their comics abilities. Like, guess what? Colossus is really hard to kill.
Yeah, he's got like 3 more health than anybody in the game.
Rogue can copy other heroes' powers. Yep. So that all makes sense.
Shadow Cat, I think it's Kitty Pryde. I don't know my X-Men as well as I should. She can like phase through stuff, and so I think her assist card is really cool because it allows someone else to ignore damage that you have to take to complete a mission.
That's cool.
Yeah, so there's really like subtle thematic touches.
Yes,
for sure. Okay,
so 4th category. Fun. Is it fun? What's the fun factor?
The fun factor is it's fun.
Yes.
I was going to say through the roof. We've been having a really good time playing this.
We have.
I think what it does for me, it's got the dice, which is the randomness, and it's just like I did everything I possibly could and I still didn't pass. I know for a lot of people that is super frustrating for games, specifically because they plan and they min-max and they deck build, and then you come along and roll a dice and you beat me. It's like, well, sorry, it's the game. I think it's a very casual experience.
Yeah.
It is not a sit down. It takes an hour or two. It does take an hour or two, like no matter what. But it's not brain busting. I'm having a good time. It's a good one. You can have a conversation in between turns if you wanted to. And the theme helps for me, of course. Rolling dice is fun. Like, I purposely, sometimes when I get a new game, I won't look at all the cards right away. So when I draw that mutant, I'm like, I've never seen this one before. Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah.
I have fun playing this game.
I do too. I think casual is the perfect way to describe it. And so it's perfect for that. It's met us where we are in just this season of gaming. And
it's true. That's why it's so good for us right now.
Right. We just, about a month ago, we got Sherlock, and which is, well, I'm not saying it's a bad game at all, but it's very hard to think right now.
Yeah, it's very heavy in that way.
Yeah, so
it's so open-ended, which at the right time, I know is going to be so much fun.
Yes.
But right now, it's not.
Right. For us, the X-Men Mutant Insurrection just met us right where we were at, and it's casual, and there's something about rolling dice that's, I don't know if it's like a textile thing or something about that is just fun.
Yeah.
More than just the luck and chance. And, for someone like me who doesn't love luck and chance as much as my dear husband over here, I'm a planner, but I feel like this game, it rides that line nicely, if not even coming more towards strategy, I think, because...
it has enough elements to allow you to take that strategic look to it.
Yes. And I feel like the probability on the dice was well thought through. I like that you're not rolling blanks. I mean, that is really nice. I mean, yeah, you might roll something that has a villainous effect, but I just really don't like blanks. Gosh,
like,
that was
why?
Frustrating. With Destiny.
Oh yeah, it's like, all right, I just need 3 to kill you. 2 blanks. It's like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I get being frustrated with dice.
But Destiny is way more frustrating, and I know that is probably because that's competitive, and this one is cooperative. So when my dice rolls don't really match up, then hopefully someone's on that mission with me and can fill in for where my dice rolls were not great.
Yeah. I think what helps with me with this game too is I kind of feel in a weird way, and if you've played both, maybe you'll agree, this is kind of like a co-op Destiny in a way. You're rolling dice, you have cards that have powers. Instead of fighting each other, you're fighting, the game. I don't know. I just got this weird connection there.
And I don't see it that way at all.
Okay. Moving on.
No, it's okay. We're allowed to disagree. I think referee says it's fine. We can disagree.
Yeah.
But we do have fun with this. More of like a casual fun atmosphere and not so much like defeating a really long, thorough intellectual challenge.
Well, yeah,
accomplishment.
Coming from PAX Premiere to this game has been awesome.
Yes.
Because PAX Premiere, if you listen to our previous episode, that one really confused us at this time. And maybe it's, again, we've said it a lot, it's not the right time for that one for us. We know it's a great game. We just can't unlock why right now. This one, it might not be a great game. When it's all said and done, it might just be like, it's an X-Men game with dice. Big whoop. But we're really enjoying it.
But what makes a great game?
Yeah.
Part of it is meeting you where you're at and what you want to play. And that's why I think we all know we do it in our heads. Like, what game are we going to play tonight? Well, not any game will do, because you're thinking of what kind of mood are you in, or who are you going to go see? And not every game will fit the atmosphere the right way.
For sure.
All right. 5th category. Is it worth it?
Yep. I feel like every time we talk, 4 and 5 are blending together more and more.
Oh, yeah?
So we should maybe we should rethink it and just do 4. But
for me, they're very separate.
Well, you are very literal with this too. Yeah, I don't have anything new to say. It is definitely, it's been worth it for me. Just based on the theme alone, I tend to buy games based on, the cover. It's got X-Men on it. It rolls dice. I'm good.
Yeah, it's worth it. Especially for us, because we love the Marvel Universe. We have kids who appreciate the Marvel Universe and are into games as well. So for us, it has would we think it's worth it if just Christian and I played? Sure. Yeah, we would. But it's like doubly worth it for us because we can make family time out of it and have fun and learn together. So I guess there is a solo variant, right? That we have not read through.
Well, I'll spoil it right now. It's the same game, except you control 2 people.
Right.
So that doesn't seem very fun to me, but I don't play solo.
So, I mean, that's something to assess if you're a primarily solo player. There might be other games in the Marvel Universe, Marvel Champions, that fit that solo itch better than rolling dice for two people.
Right.
Which is kind of what Mansions is, solo.
True.
A little bit. Not the same mechanics as this game, but it's that idea of playing two characters to get the game going.
Yep.
So if you are a primarily solo player, I don't know how that's gonna. It wouldn't scratch my itch as a solo player, and of Christian and I am the solo player.
Yeah, it's still possible. So if you're like me and you agree with me 100%, no, but if you like the world and you like dice, you can play this solo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't let that stop you for sure.
All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some other ideas.
After these messages.
All right, guys. So when we first played X-Men Mutant Insurrection, some thoughts and ideas came to the surface actually before we played because of the Dice Tower review.
We're going to get in a fight
of this game. And then after we played through a few times, it kind of brought this idea of a game meeting you where you're at and how much impact that can have. So first of all, let's back up and explain what we mean by the Dice Tower review. Christian, you want to explain that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't watch it. I just kind of like skimmed the highlights. And they did not have a lot of good things to say about X-Men Mutant Insurrection, which at first got me really nervous because they're just so big in this space and a lot of people trust them. I'll be honest, I don't typically agree with a lot of their reviews. And in this case, I didn't. We are having such a good time playing this game that I'm just kind of surprised at how negative they were towards this game.
So then that made us think, of course, right? These people that are constantly and very famous in the gaming community really just didn't give this game a good review. And it made us think of maybe how important it is that not only is the game good, but what makes a game good. Like maybe part of a game being good is where it meets you and when it comes into your life, so to speak.
Like a baby.
Like a baby, yes.
The game baby.
I think Christian has mentioned in the past it's been hard for him to get into new games recently, or any games really, and to get off work right now and have to think
yeah,
more and more and more has been hard. So we have played games. It's been a struggle to we played that game, it was okay, but this one has been so satisfying just because it is so casual and it is a world we're interested in, all the things we mentioned in the previous categories. And so it makes us feel like a game can meet you where you're at. And if it doesn't meet you where you're at, maybe that contributes to part of your negative feelings about the board game.
For sure. And I think, when we did PAX Premiere, that definitely could be why we talked about it in the tone that we did. And I'm hoping for more from that game again. As somebody who does not play a lot of games compared to those guys in that review, like I can see why they wouldn't like it. It's very simple. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like mind-blowing or new with this game. Like you roll dice and you have actions, you exhaust cards. A lot of games do that.
Right.
So this is just a different iteration. For us, it was enough, and it really was. Has been and will probably continue to be a fun game. I can see us playing this with the kids, obviously, for a long time, and then even with our friends, like inviting them over for game night. Yeah, it's X-Men, and that's kind of weird to some people who aren't familiar with it. But then again, it's Marvel, and everyone's seen a Marvel movie,
right?
So it's
Oh, I've heard of Wolverine.
Yeah,
There you go.
Everyone, I would say almost everybody knows who that is. And if they can roll dice, they can play this game. So, yeah, it's been good.
Right. So it made us think, like, has there been a game maybe like this where you feel like it has met you where you are? And it's just been the perfect game to fit into that niche, or the opposite, where the first time you encountered it, it was like, this is not a good game, or this is not a good game for me, is maybe the more accurate interpretation of that. And then you played it later, or maybe a friend brought it to a game night, and then you played it again, and you're like, oh, this is not at all how I remember this experience being, because you were in a different place and you were ready to maybe think, or
and it has to do a lot too, I think, with expectations. I've fallen into this trap where, like, I just get hyped about, like, I get on the hype train for whatever game, like, yes, this is going to be great, let's play it. And then I play it and it's like, oh, that was not what I thought it was going to be. And so I have purposely learned to not just put all my eggs in that basket. That if this game is anywhere not close to perfect, then I'm going to hate it. Like, I just can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people online do that with board games, and they do it with video games for sure. But it's just, yeah.
Can you think of a game that has either been like this in the past, where it was just perfect for right where you are when you played it, or the opposite?
Nothing is coming to mind. Maybe the first time that we both played Mansions of Madness, I just remember being like, this is what a board game can do, and just being really excited for what else is out there. That's the one that comes to mind. I don't know if that's exactly what you're looking for.
I feel like there was a game, and I'm not remembering what it was. Maybe you can think with me. There was a game that you tried to introduce to me earlier on in our gaming, like, history.
Okay, yeah.
And it just wasn't sticking. And then now we've played it maybe more recently. Oh, you know what it was? It was Arkham Horror.
Oh, the LCG.
The LCG.
Yeah.
We bought that.
I did. I bought it secondhand from a dude.
And pretty promptly sold it.
Yeah,
it didn't meet us where we were, because we were so...
That's a great example.
...new to modern board games. I mean, we had probably... The only modern board game we had probably played was... What? Game of Thrones card game?
Well, we played Game of Thrones card game, obviously, and then Lord of the Rings. This was not... It was early, but we had played Mansions of Madness. And then I was like, oh, they have a card game version of this. Angela's going to love it. And she didn't. You didn't. But then I didn't really care for it either. Didn't understand it maybe at the time.
Yeah.
And how good it could be. We've since rebought it, which is funny.
Yeah. Yeah, like just this past year.
Yeah, we've since rebought it. We played it a couple times to get our feet wet again. And I can see that being another, Marvel Champions for us, where it's co-op, so there's no tension between us. No. You just play the game, and it's a little. You have to think a little bit, as you do in Champions. Not as much as X-Men, but that's a great example. Yeah,
because maybe we're in a different place in our board gaming journey or in our lives. Whatever it is, maybe both.
Let's play that. Actually, let's play that next. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, we're just able to see more clearly the pros.
I can see clearly now.
Oh, nice.
There's my song. I haven't done one in a while.
And the cons aren't as important to us as they were when we first were introduced to the game. So, yeah, if you are interacting with us on Instagram, or if you're not, feel free. We are at Married and Bored. Or you can find us at our website, which is marriedandbored.com, and tell us what you think. What do you think about this idea that a board game can meet you where you're at or not? and it can impact your the way you like the game.
Yeah. Also something I just thought of too. And we can maybe talk about it next time, but has a board game ever have you ever outgrown one? Not like Monopoly or like Clue Junior. Yes, right. You've outgrown that. But I say that because we did play Mansions of Madness a couple weeks ago, like 2 or 3 times. It's just for whatever reason we wanted to play it. And then every time afterwards we were like, huh.
I think we've outgrown it.
That was just okay. Like, still great, but like it just doesn't do what it used to
for us.
Like it's not as like, whoa, that was awesome, because now it's maybe just too repetitive, or we've played it too much.
Yeah, and we're not playing the same scenarios. So yeah, that's a good point. You sometimes feel like it's just you just feel like you're beyond that game for some reason.
Yeah, because when we started the podcast, that was your favorite game.
Oh yeah,
and maybe you would still say that. I don't know.
Probably not anymore, but I know what you mean.
Everything was compared to Mansions of Madness for you. As we started playing more and more games, maybe you found something that you liked better. So taste change, the taste of X-Men. That's weird.
Don't taste the X-Men.
Has been great. So. Let's wrap up the show, Angela, and just talk about something outside of board games that is, that we're having fun with. What have we been doing besides playing these board games? Do you want to start? Or something that's bringing you happiness and joy?
I'm going to need a minute, Christian.
You're going to need a minute? Wow, okay. I didn't mean to throw you on the spot. I'll go. I'm talking a lot. I fixed my bike recently, and by bike I mean bicycle. I don't have a motorcycle. I'm not that cool.
Oh, you did sound cool for a minute.
I did. So I fixed my bicycle, and long story short, I should have fixed it a long time ago, but I couldn't find the tires I needed. Not the tubes, but the actual tires, and whatever. I finally found them, and I bought them, and I've been riding my bike like 3 or 4 times a week, just around our neighborhood. Just go a few miles each time. And it's perfect in Arizona. I apologize everywhere else. If you're listening to this at the end of February, you're frozen everywhere.
Yes.
Here in Arizona, it's 65, and I can ride my bike. So I'm doing that. And it's just been really fun to get out and do that. And I finally found, this is probably the biggest news, I found a helmet that fits my big fat head. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before.
Yeah, tell us your hat size.
So I have a hat size, and if you wear fitted hats, my hat size is 8, which I don't know anybody who has a bigger head than me, and I can't buy fitted size 8 hats at like Hat Club or Lids or whatever. So yeah, bicycle helmets and like skateboard helmets, they don't fit me. I bought one, and I was like, oh, it's gonna fit fat heads. I was like, no, it's not. And I put it on, and I totally didn't. So I had to find another one. So the S1 Helmet Company is where I found my big fat helmet, and it fits perfectly. And it's been awesome. So
it's been a joy. Yep. Also, tell them about your new treat that has been bringing you joy.
Oh, my treats. Yeah, one of my favorite times of year is, look, I'll admit it right now, I love candy. I don't eat it as much as I used to, which is a good thing. I like Easter way more than I like Halloween because jelly beans.
Jelly beans.
They're so good. I love fruity candy and Starburst. No, Sweet Tart jelly beans and Sour Patch jelly beans. They are the real deal, guys. They're the perfect. They're the perfect game snack. So if you need that is my recommendation to you. Angela, anything else outside of games?
Oh, man. Well, how do I follow the candy connoisseur over here?
Yeah, I got a big helmet and I eat candy. Like, whatever. It's me.
Okay. Well, the first thing that I can think of that I haven't mentioned before, like books, coffee, and all that, jazz, is a weighted blanket. I have been enjoying my weighted blanket. I got one from Christian for Christmas.
That's right.
And I received another one from some friends, and I love it. I have a weight 15 pounds and a weight 18 pounds. And yeah, They're great. I have not yet used mine on the bed, like to sleep with it, because I've heard some people love that. I have also heard some people get quite a shock when they like try to just casually turn over. It'll wake them up because
there's pressure where there normally isn't.
Yeah, because it's harder to turn over. I mean, I'm willing to try it sometimes, but for right now, it is satisfying what I need it for, like on the couch, just like watching a show or reading a book.
Reading, yeah.
Yes. Love the weighted blanket. So if you've never used a weighted blanket, I would highly recommend it.
You want to know the worst part about the weighted blanket?
Moving the weighted blanket.
Yeah, and also like, can you get me a drink? I have my weighted blanket on. It's so heavy.
Well, this is a valid request. Because once I'm tucked into the weighted blanket, there's no way out easily.
I don't. I haven't. I tried it once the other day, actually, when we watched Harry Potter with the kids. I was weighted down.
You used my weighted blanket.
I did. Spoilers.
Well, how was it, Christian?
It was great, I think.
Well, mine is probably not, because they come in different like sizes, weights, and all that. You know what? Is you can someone told me to just fold over my weighted blanket if I want more of like a pressure. So
now you have two, so you can have like 38 pounds on top of you.
Double weightedness. Oh, I love it.
Is anybody else a weighted blanket fan? Probably.
When I bring my weighted blanket to game night, that will be the...
I can't wait.
I know you can't.
Well,
guys.
I think that should do it for us, guys. We appreciate everybody who listens to the show. As always, you can hear how to contact us here in a few minutes. As always, if you have any questions, reach out. We're happy to chat with all of you, and we hope everyone is staying warm, for sure, and safe. Angela, anything else?
Yeah, we hope to meet you here soon with another game and possibly a Marvel Champions episode coming at you soon. See you then.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Married and Bored podcast. And guess what? We have a website where you can listen to podcast episodes and so much more. Find us at marriedandbored.com, or you can email us at hello@marriedandbored.com, or follow us on Instagram at marriedandbored. Music in this episode is by Joseph McDade. See you next time.
Let's check our levels. Is it high or low?
Levels.
Is it high or low?
How are those levels?
Let's check those levels. Are they high or low? One more time for real. We're just going to talk normal.
How does it sound if I just talk from back here?
Okay, right here. So I'm thinking that if we talk from here, how does it sound?
Sounds like pretty good, I think.